so sorry for everything that has happened.
Welcome to the second episode of the Horror Squid podcast. I'm your host, Derek, D-Rock, whatever the hell you want to call me. And today, I have my really good friend from TalkingBull, Anthony. How's it going, Anthony?
Hello. I'm good, man. How you doing?
I am doing great. I am happy we could finally do this damn podcast.
I know we've been talking about doing this for like a couple weeks now. And
Bro,
we finally did it.
We tried to do this a year ago.
I wasn't telling them that.
Oh, I don't care. I mean, judging by like when they noticed that the last one of these was posted, like what? I think it's February. But yeah, for those of you who are new here, and this podcast is where we'll be reviewing horror movies and anything horror alike, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah, but yeah. So just before we get started on the movie, and I'm already fudging this hard. Anyway, so
Yeah, man, just go. You good?
So how you been, Anthony?
I've been doing all right, man. I've been doing all right. Just trying to keep busy and doing random stuff. And you guys saw the last thing we did on my channel, which was the figure thing. That has exploded exponentially. So yeah, I've just been keeping busy with that.
Oh, really? That video is doing really good?
Oh, I just meant my figure collection was. The video's doing normally.
Oh, yeah. I was like, whoa, it's getting that many views? That's cool.
I wish, but no, it's all good.
But yeah, for those of you that don't know, Anthony's got his own channel where he streams video games weekly. I'm on there occasionally with him playing games here and there like Sea of Thieves and Friday the 13th and other things that I'm blanking on right now. But you can find him over at TalkingBull. Is it TalkingBull or TalkingBull Games?
Yeah, it's TalkingBull.
Yeah. TalkingBull, and he does podcasts, but with the current world pandemic going on right now, I think that's been put to a halt for the time being. But you can find that on Spotify.
It's on a slight hiatus. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks,
All right.
Thanks for the plug, man. Appreciate it.
No problem, bro. No problem. All right. So today we're going to be talking about The Blair Witch Project, which if you have never heard of this movie or haven't seen it, I would like to know what rock you've been living under.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, dude, if you haven't heard of this movie, like, this is, I would say, one of the seminal, like, it's a scary movie, scaries movie kind of thing, where it's like, you just know it for what it is kind of thing.
Exactly. This movie came out in 1999. It is directed and written by Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez. It stars Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams, and Joshua Leonard. There's only 3 actors in the whole movie. And basically the premise of this movie is in October of 1994, 3 student filmmakers disappeared in the woods near Burkittsville, Maryland, while shooting a documentary. A year later, their footage was found.
Dun. I really felt like the Law and Order thing at the end of that would work.
I might add that in. Later. But basically, the premise of this movie is 3 college students, right?
Yeah.
3 college students went out on a trip to Burkittsville, Maryland to make a little documentary about this folklore story about the Blair Witch that lives out there that steals children and people and kills them in the woods. And then while they're in the woods filmmaking, while they're out there documenting, making their movie, everything kind of goes to shit once they get lost in the woods. They realize they don't know where they're at, and a whole bunch of crazy stuff starts happening. Also, it's a found footage film. So if you are not a fan of found footage films, you've got problems. But
it is the found footage film.
Exactly.
Like, it put it back on the map and made the map.
Exactly. And
it is responsible for every found footage movie since.
Exactly. This is like the grandfather of found footage films. And I'm just gonna jump to it right now, but I absolutely fucking love this movie. Like I get why some people don't like it, but I feel like those are very cynical people, and they don't like you have to take yourself like out. You have to put yourself in these people's shoes while watching it.
So here's my thing. I absolutely agree with you. And I was one of those people watching this the first time we planned to do this. I watched this movie, and just go with me because I'm going to fix this statement at the end of it. I was bored as fuck. And I was not paying attention. I was on my phone. I was doing whatever. I wasn't paying attention. And I'm like, what the hell is, like, I hadn't seen this movie in a long time. I was like, this movie, what the, I have no clue what's going on. Like, I knew what was going on, but I wasn't really paying attention. So today, before we did this, I sat down and I fully paid attention to this movie. Gave it my 100% attention, watched everything, was looking for details, looking for everything. So much better, amazing movie. You have to pay attention to this movie because there's little cues and like just little dialogue things and stuff in the scene where you have to pay attention to give this movie the full thing it deserves. Because if you're not going to pay attention to this movie, it's gonna suck. That's my statement on that. But yeah, fully pay attention to fully get this movie, because if not, yeah, it's a found footage movie.
Exactly.
30 something years after it came out.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like you said, you have to pay attention to it. I mean, like, not really, it doesn't really show much. It's just, it's a lot. You have to put, so I guess we will walk through the movie because I wasn't sure how I wanted to go about doing this. So it starts off with them going to Burkittsville, Maryland. They're visiting a lot of the places that are a part of the lore and everything, and interviewing some people. And you get kind of this feel for it. You're like, you hear like the townsfolk talking about, oh yeah, I heard about this, back in the day.
I do like that they're not really sure what the legend is.
Yeah.
You get like a kind of different takes from different people within the scenario of building up to it. So the three characters aren't really sure what is going on. And I absolutely love that setup of like, well, they say this happened and then these people died, but these people died a different way. So what is the legend? But it's all about this one specific spot in this woods. And I absolutely love that premise, because even the locals are like, we know something's up. We don't go out there, but we're not really sure what's up.
Yeah, it's been one of those things where it's like hearsay for years, and the story has been changed up. So fun fact that you sang that part though. So I was reading earlier on IMDb, one of like the on the trivia page, which a lot of the information trivia stuff I'm going to give you guys in this podcast, you're going to hear me saying, you can easily find it. It's just stuff I found interesting.
Oh yeah, same here. I read the IMDb. I went to their wiki, checked it all out. Wanted to learn some more stuff about the movie
because it's fascinating about how they did this movie, and we'll get into that more as it goes on. But so you say that like they're talking to the townsfolk, the people, the characters in the movie are like they don't really know what's going on and shit, and they're trying to figure it out. So when they gave the three actors in the movie the story, the directors made them believe that the Blair Witch was an actual thing, like this was an actual folklore story. So they went into this movie thinking like they knew the movie was going to be fake, but they thought the lore was real. So they went there, and unbeknownst to the actors in the movie who were carrying the camera around and filming the whole thing themselves, they didn't know that the directors had planted actual actors for them to interview. So they thought they were talking to real townsfolk.
Yeah, their reaction to these characters is legitimate because they don't know what they're going to say.
Yeah, it's all genuine.
It's awesome.
And I guess a lot of it kind of throws them. It's like, oh shit, this town really has all this crazy stuff going on. I don't know, that whole thing's just really cool. And then after they interview the townfolk and everything, that's when they make it to the woods.
They get lost, and that's what happens to them too.
Yeah, they get lost. But no, they go in the woods. They meet up with a couple people. They're following their map.
Okay, question on the map, and I want to ask your honest opinion on this. Do you legitimately think the character Heather could read the map?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know while watching it.
I don't think she could. I know. So playing the Blair Witch is very ambiguous of what it's trying to accomplish within the story of the story. But I've played the Blair Witch game, which adds kind of like a nuance to the movie of the Blair Witch messes with the woods and changes the woods so that, yes, you are going to get lost because they're changing the topography of the woods so that, yes, you are going to go in a circle because that's what she wants you to do.
Yeah.
Does that in the game, was pointed out, that's what she does in the movie as well. It's not told in the movie, but if you get that, you get it from there. So, knowing that, I still don't think that character could read the damn map.
Or maybe she did know how to read the map, but she was just very confused, maybe like why it wasn't... You get what I'm saying? Like, so things were changing around them.
But
and
like, if that was the case, lady, say something. You know what I mean? If she was like, hey... I'm following the map, and the map put us, like, if you're looking at a map, right, and it says go this way, and you're going that way, and then all of a sudden the thing that's supposed to be at that spot is no longer at that spot, you should probably speak up and be like, yeah, what the hell? You know?
Yeah, but her character seems very determined, and like she doesn't want to be wrong, and maybe she's just kind of like, well, maybe if we push on, we'll eventually get where we're going.
Yeah.
I mean, like, granted, I'd be like, guys, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know where we're at.
Yeah. I would have did the same thing. I'd be like, it says we're supposed to go left here, but for some reason we're still going straight. What's up with that?
Yeah. So while they're walking through the woods and they're reading the map and stuff, I want to say everything starts happening after they find like piles of rocks, which goes back to a part I left out when they're interviewing the townsfolk. They find this one lady. I want to say her name is Mary. I don't remember her last name, but she's this creepy old lady.
Lives in that trailer.
Yeah, and she's telling them a story. I want to say she was the one who told them about the pile of rocks and stuff, like that meant something. Man, I really wish I would have watched this movie today.
The campers tell them about the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they find it, and I want to say it's Josh. He's the guy with the long hair. He's one of the camera guys. I think he ends up knocking over the rocks accidentally, and Heather picks it back up, and she kind of like kisses her hand and touches it, like apologizes for knocking over.
I think he did it on purpose.
He probably did. I mean, probably just being a dick.
From looking at it, I was like, he was just like, fuck this, and kicked the rock. And I was like, dude, I would have like not gone anywhere near those damn rocks.
Yeah, especially with like knowing that there's a potential witch out there if this shit is real, and then you run into this in the woods. I mean, like,
you see these rocks in a weird phenomenon of like piled up neatly. No, I'm not going to kick the rocks and disturb them.
Exactly. And then after this,
just really dumb.
So after that happens is I want to say after that is when they start really getting lost, and I think they camped and there wasn't any problems or anything. But eventually they start to get turned around in the woods, and there's lots of arguing and bickering. And what's cool about the arguing and bickering is the way the directors did that was at each campsite, like the actors while doing this, they had GPS or coordinates of where they were supposed to go next and trails and stuff. And at each spot, they had food for them of where they were supposed to go, but each time they gave them less and less food. So over time, they would just get crankier and crankier. So the animosity and the aggression towards each other would get a lot more real. And what's funny is while filming it, they actually got lost multiple times. And the scene where...
I love that.
Where they thought they were going south the whole time, but they wound up in the same spot. That actually happened. That was real. They looped around somehow, and they were genuinely upset that they walked around all day and wasted a whole day getting to where they actually needed to be.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's such a great thing to add, just the nuance of the movie.
Exactly, and that's what adds to the realism of this. And it's like, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is like, when you're watching this, you have to go in and think of this as if it was real, because that's another thing I wanted to touch on at the beginning is like when this came out, it was marketed as this really happened. This was real footage that was found in the woods.
Yeah, because they took a whole bunch of footage that they used and then turned out they didn't use to put out a mock documentary on the Sci-Fi Channel called Curse of the Blair Witch.
Called Clerks.
Called Clerks. Yes, called Clerks. Watch that movie too.
Yes, very good.
It's not a horror movie. It's just good. But yeah, and they put that out before this movie even came out, just to add to the whole like everything that is this movie. Mm-hmm. The website they built around this movie, like this movie was a phenomenon onto itself.
Exactly.
It launched spoofs. It launched found footage. Like, this was a movie.
See, when I was a kid and I heard about this, I thought this was real. Like, it fucked me up. And and when I watched it, I was like I got chills. Like, I was like, oh my God, like this is insane. Because I spent a lot of time when I was a kid hanging out in the woods next to my house. Like, I just wander around, like, just, I don't know, I just hung out in the woods a lot. I don't know. I was weird. Didn't have much to do. And there's just always lots of woods at my house. And every time I had watched this movie, I couldn't go outside for a while. Because here's the story. There was one time I watched this during the day at my friend's house. And I was riding home. And on the road leading to another road to get to my house, nothing was on it. It was a dirt road, just nothing but trees. And I told my friend, I was like, all right, man, hey, man, I'm headed home before it gets dark, blah, blah, blah. I ended up leaving later than I intended. And on my way home, the sun starts going down. It's a nice fall day, breezy. The wind starts blowing. You hear crackling in the woods.
You're like, I'm going to die.
I had never ridden my bike faster than that moment in my life. Which was like a 15-20 minute bike ride to my house was probably maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
I was gonna say like 3.5. He just fucking books it. It's like, I'm gone.
Bro, and it terrified me. And I would have nightmares of this. But it's like, and then even once I found out that it was fake, I was honestly a little disappointed. I mean, like, yeah, good thing it wasn't real. I mean, glad these people are still alive. But it was just like, the idea of that just fucked with me. Because it was like, man, just seeing like, I think it goes into that whole like human nature thing, like the curiosity and watching things happen, you know, like, and then you're seeing
like watching this movie, you see them slowly just start to lose it. They're out there. They're not prepared. You can tell they're not prepared. They're just like, let's go into the woods. There, and then they just get stuck out there, and they do what every human does. They turn against each other at the slightest inconvenience, and then and then one dickhead kicks some rocks, and that's what happened.
And then self downhill from there. But I know we are all over the place with this. Next episode, I gotta have more of a structure. But back to the whole, like, when it was released, like, they were talking about how oh, this is real, blah blah blah. What added to that was, like, they had the actors sign something saying you cannot do interviews or really be out in public for a year after this movie, until after a year after this movie's released.
This movie premiered at Sundance, and they didn't go. And like the mom of the actress who plays Heather, incidentally named Heather, got calls like, "We're sorry to hear about your daughter. Like, this." She got awful
condolence letters. She got gifts.
Like, can you imagine that? Like, you could it was a moment in time, and it was a thing. Like, you could never pull this off now.
Nope, not, especially with the internet. And I think about that all the time. I'm like, I try to think, I'm like, what are some ways that you could pull this off nowadays? But there's no real way with social.
There's been found footage horror movies now that would use webcams and stuff like that. I watched one not too long ago. I can't think of the movie right now, but it's actually a decent movie. But they've tried to update the premise of like using technology to update the found footage structure.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, it's still doable. I just mean like along the lines of like this one, where like at a time before social media, and you could easily just look somebody up. Like, yeah, like in 1999, it's like someone told you, hey, check out this movie of where these people got lost in the woods, and this is what's left, and they die at the end. Like you don't see anything happen, but I mean, like,
especially a movie with like no CG.
Exactly. But like you can't do that now.
You can spot CG a mile away, but like there's none in this movie to be like, oh, this is fake. Yeah. Just 3 people out in the woods and some shit happens to them. Like, and it's great.
Exactly. And okay. back to them like wandering around the woods and everything after the rock kicking. Unless there's something else more you want to say. I didn't mean to like cut you off.
No,
or anything.
I'm good with the rock kicking.
Okay. So going back to that, after that, I think it's, I want to say that's their second night of camping. You watched this today. I watched it earlier in the week. So
yeah, I'm like, yeah, they do the first night and then they're fine. Nothing happens the first night. And then the second night is when they start hearing voices, like the kids' voices in the woods. Between the second and third, I think they're there 4 nights. Second, third, and fourth night, a bunch of shit starts happening. The tent gets shaken. You hear kids' voices. Yeah. They run out into the woods like idiots because they see something. And then in the morning they wake up and there's more rocks outside of their tent, and I think just the rocks. There's rocks outside each individual tent of like what's gonna happen. And then the next night, they run out, and they come back, and all their shit's trashed. But most of it is
Josh.
Josh. Yeah, Josh's stuff is trash and covered in this blue-green slime. And he's like, "Why my stuff?" And I'm like, "'Cause you kicked the rocks, man. You kicked the rocks,
you fucking idiot.
You pissed off the witch."
So, going back to like the nights of them in the tent and everything, I've watched this movie multiple times. I generally just kind of watched it on the TV, but like over like the last few years, I generally watch movies with my headphones on so I could hear it a lot better. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of noises and sounds that I never noticed, like that they're hearing while they're inside the tent in the middle of the night.
When I watched it the first time when we were going to do this, I didn't hear the kids' voices. I heard them this time. And I was like, oh, that's why they're freaking out. They hear kids and shit. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'd freak out too if I'm in the middle of the woods for 3 days and all of a sudden I hear kids running around and doing stuff.
Exactly.
And then there's rocks in the morning.
So the cool thing about this is that, again, all those reactions of them freaking out in the tent are genuine, because in the middle of the night while they're sleeping, the directors just showed up and just started fucking with them, like throwing things in the wood, shaking the tent, and
snapping sticks and throwing them and everything. Yeah, they had no idea this was going to happen. And after I read that, I was like, oh, that's genuine terror because they were sleeping and someone starts messing with them at night.
It's so fucked, but it worked. It played off. It paid off. It worked so well.
It did.
So I did find something else out while reading the scene, because you brought it up, how like, they run out the tent and Heather's like, like, what the fuck is that? You see that originally.
Yes, I know where you're going.
Yeah. They were supposed to show something, but
Josh is supposed to pan to the left and show the Blair Witch.
Yeah, or like a lady in like a white dress or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
forgot to do it. So that line is in there, and they're running from this terrifying thing they can see, and the audience is supposed to get their first glimpse of this witch.
Yeah. And they never do.
Forgot to pan. But they never do. And that adds to the ambiance of this movie, I think, of not seeing anything.
Yeah, because it makes you wonder, like, what the fuck did they just see? Like, what is she seeing? Because you hear complete terror in her voice. Like,
it is a blood-curdling what the fuck. Like, it is terrifying.
Yep.
And you see nothing. And what I thought was really funny, in my head, I'm just picturing the ghost from Ghostbusters, the librarian.
Oh. Fantastic scene, by the way.
Oh, great scene in that movie. I'm just like, this is what they should use.
Yeah, just CG that. And
she's like, what the fuck is that? And it's just the purple ghost from Ghostbusters, like, we're going by.
So
this is why I don't make movies.
So after that happens, and after the directors are fucking with him and terrifying them in the middle of the night, that was the second night that they all ran off into the woods.
Yeah.
Was that the night that Josh disappeared?
No, that's the next one, because what happens is they then lose the map. Because again, someone's a dick and Mike kicks it in the river or the creek and loses it.
Okay.
And the first time I watched this, I'm like, Heather has the map all the time. They look at it. I'm like, did she not give it back to, like, when they look, they do a map check in one point of the movie because they're like, you are clearly lost. And she's like, no, we're cool. It's fine. It's totally all right. I'm good.
Yeah.
So they do a map check and they check it and gives it back to her. And I'm like, then how did Mike get it? Because she's like, I keep it in my pants. Like, did something funky go down between these two that he's just like, I'm going to steal this out of your pants? And I'm like, watching it again, figured out how he got the map out of her pants.
Yeah.
And it's literally because there's a line of dialogue in the movie, like, I'm putting on pants when they run out.
Oh, yeah. So maybe...
I'm like, oh, she doesn't wear those jeans at night, and he took it out of the pocket, and then he got mad and kicked it in the creek.
Yeah. So that kind of like on that note, like what you were just saying, that's one thing I also appreciate about this movie is that there was no, like, they didn't use any kind of like relationship trope with anybody. They were literally just not even three friends, because like Mike was
because I think they hired Mike to come out there, or they asked him to do it. And
because he was I think they just go to school together or something. Yeah, and that's another thing I really appreciate about this movie is like they don't use any of those tropes. It's like, you know, this is what it is. They're going into the woods to do this, and then everything goes to shit. But
so you just mentioned this, and I was going to mention it as we got farther down the storyline, but we're kind of there now. So a bunch of shit gets happening. They realize they're going in a circle. They break down because they get to that log where she's like, I don't want to cross another log. They camp out for the night, and Josh is just done. He is having a breakdown of epic proportions. And what I love about that is the night he disappears, he's not actually supposed to. Mike, wait, hang on. I think I got those two mixed up. Josh wasn't supposed to disappear. Mike was.
Interesting.
But what happened was Heather and Josh fought so much in the other footage that they didn't show you, they had to cut around it.
Oh, yeah, I read that too. Yeah.
They fought so much in this that it looked like it was the two guys just attacking her constantly, and they had to cut around that. So what happened was they actually took Josh out early. He was supposed to go with her to find Mike.
Yeah.
They tapped him in the middle of the night one night, and they're like, you're dead, leave. And when they woke up, Josh was gone. They had no clue.
Yeah. Okay,
like,
I didn't know that part.
Awesome. Yeah, I read that today, and I was like, that is amazing. Because it's supposed to be Mike that disappears, because Heather and Josh are supposed to be friends and have this better friendship.
Yeah.
Because they started hating on each other, there's so much in this that they used the situation to have the two people who initially started getting at it, of Heather and Mike, to try to find Josh. And I'm like, well, I actually like that a bit, because there's a scene later on where he's like, stop filming him. He's having a nervous breakdown in the corner.
Yeah.
and she's like, oh, it's fine. He's like, no, he's breaking down. Leave him the hell alone. And I really like that. I think it works a lot better for the end movie of like them trying to find Josh. And like, I really like when in the morning she wakes up and they find the sticks. Well, I'm skipping a part. They found all that crap in the woods. Right? When they were all together, they found all the markings.
Yeah, so let's backtrack real fast.
Yeah,
okay.
I jumped on because I wanted to just talk about the part. So we can go back.
All right, so they ran out of the woods. They're screaming like, what the fuck is that? Blah, blah, blah. Which I still feel like that's after Josh left. But again, I could be completely wrong. But anyway, after they ran out of the woods and stuff, they come back. Josh's stuff has got all this slime on it and everything, and you know, he's like, why is my stuff blah blah blah?
And I'm like, because you kicked the rock.
Yeah, because you kicked the rocks, like you said earlier. And then eventually they're walking around and they run into all these sticks, which is the classic Blair Witch stick figure that you see, like the little totem thing, and they're just hung all over the woods. And at this point, they think it's like the locals fucking with them.
Yeah, so Mike reveals that he kicked the map into the creek. They decide to head south using the compass, and that's when they find the sticks in the woods. And then, yeah, that's when they shake the tent and they hide into the woods until that happens.
Wait, what? So they find the sticks, and then that's when after that they set up camp and shit, and then that night
they hear the kids, and then they shake the tent gets shaken, and they run out in the woods.
Okay, and then they come back, and that's when Josh's stuff is messed up again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that happened, and then they set up camp again, and Josh agrees to stay up all night to be on watch because I think they're going to rotate.
Yeah,
but
he's like, I'll take the first watch. Everyone just relax.
Yeah. And then when they wake up in the morning, Josh is gone. They're wandering around the woods screaming for him. Can't find him anywhere. His stuff is still there. And then after hours looking for him, they just say, fuck it. And they decide to move on, which honestly I thought was kind of fucked, but I get maybe they're like, look, once we get out of here, we'll come back and look for him. Mm-hmm. But they wander around until like, I guess it's night and they have to set up camp again. And in the middle of the night, they hear him screaming.
Yeah.
They hear a voice in the woods screaming. Mm-hmm. And I want to say you can hear cackling maybe, or maybe it's just branches breaking. But
I think it's branches breaking, but that is Josh screaming in agony in the woods somewhere, which is just creepy. Yeah. Again, watching this headphones on, you could hear everything crystal fucking clear. It just you figure the terror of all this shit's going down. You find these rocks, there's slime. You're stuck in the woods. It's nighttime. Your friend's been missing for a day. It's night now. You're not sleeping. You're not eating. You're panicking. In the middle of the night, you now hear this guy in agonizing pain screaming in the woods, and that is literally almost the only thing you hear. Yeah, that is fucked, man. And then you run out there and you can't find them. Oh my god. But at least they were smart enough to realize they're like, oh, that's probably the witch trying to get us out there. Yeah. Because they're like, hey, let's, let's not. So after you hear him screaming, and it's not like at first he's yelling for help, then he starts like moaning, I think, and you hear him like yelling like he's got something wrong with his mouth. And then I want to say they go back in the tent, or it's the next day or some shit. Heather wakes up. Yeah, it's in the morning. Yeah, in the morning she wakes up. She walks. I don't remember where she finds it, but she finds this. Oh, it's right outside the thing. It's like right outside to the right of her. Yeah. So she picks it up, and it's this bundled up bound of sticks with that's tied by ripped up flannel shirt, which is Josh's flannel shirt. Yeah, the second you see it, you're like, dude, that's his shirt. Yeah. And so she goes and sits down on a rock while Mike's still sleeping and stuff. And she's opening it up and freaking out. She's like, what is this? And no, she tosses it because she doesn't want to know what's in there. Then she goes and picks it up. And when she opens it, still to this day, I am not 100% sure what's in there. But looking at it, I can tell you, it looks like teeth and some hair. But when I was younger, I thought it was a tongue or something. It is. It's his tongue? Heather discovers a bundle of sticks tied with fabric from Josh's shirt. She also finds blood-soaked scraps of his shirt, as well as teeth, hair, and a piece of his tongue. Ah, see, okay, so I was right about that. So that's why he was screaming like he had something in his mouth, because all that was ripped out, and he couldn't. Was his tongue? Yeah, it was his tongue and his teeth, and she ends up wrapping it up and throwing it, and Mike's asking her what's wrong, why she's freaking out. She actually ends up. She's like, I'm just washing my hands. Yeah, I'm just washing my hands. She's freaking out, and I think at that point they're just ready to fucking go. And she actually never tells them, I don't think. Nope. And then I think it's another night of them camping. And I would have told him. Yeah, I would have too. I've been like, look I know all this shit's been going down, but I think Mike is dead. Yeah, I think it would have maybe made them a little more determined to try even harder to get out of the woods. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, she's just like, no, it's cool.
She, oh, I'm fine. I just wash my hands.
Because, like, if I was in Mike's situation, now, this leads into the next part of the movie, which I'll explain my situation after you explain what happens in the next part of the movie. And why, if I was Mike, I would do something different than what they do.
Okay. Well, after this part, is it just another, like, of them walking around the woods and then they camp another night?
She kind of tells them not to. They walk around for a bit, and that night where she does her recordings.
Okay. And then they go to sleep. And then don't they wake up to him screaming again? And then that's when they go running into the woods. And then they end up finding this abandoned house. Because they followed the voice to there, I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they walk up on that house, dude, can you imagine just being in the woods lost for days and then you find this creepy abandoned house?
Now, see, this is where, if I'm Mike, I just nope the fuck out. Because, think about it. The day before, she finds a bundle of blood with his teeth and part of his tongue. They are now chasing his voice because they think they hear him.
Uh-huh.
Out and clear, right?
Yeah.
You get your tongue cut out. You're not yelling and screaming like that. I would have been like, no way, and I'm out. He's dead. Sorry.
Yeah. So
that ain't him. Like, I'm leaving.
But that's the thing, though. Mike didn't know about the bundle of sticks.
That's why if she would have told him.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
The
fuck out.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. So they once they get to the house, they go inside because I think they hear him screaming and they're searching. Now here's where the video gets really weird. So while you're watching the movie, it flips back and forth between a camera that's in color and a black and white camera. The black and white camera doesn't have a microphone.
No, which is her camera.
Yeah, which is her camera. So in this scene, you see it from Mike's point of view, and you hear the audio coming from his camera. But then when it switches to Heather's, you hear the audio, you hear her audio, but it sounds like it's coming from another room. And it really adds to the creepiness of this because, like, it's just so chaotic, flipping back and forth to them lost in this house trying to find the voice. They hear Josh screaming. I think they think it's upstairs.
And not to mention, there's like handprints on the wall of kids. There's demonic symbols all over the place.
Oh my god! Can you imagine like running through this place trying to get out? It's like a haunted house.
And they do the dumb thing where they split up. Right? They're so far apart.
Well, it's because they panic. And I think one went one way and the other one didn't see where he went. That's because Heather didn't see where Mike went. And you hear her yelling.
She's screaming for him, but he ran upstairs.
Yep.
Because he thought he heard him upstairs. Goes upstairs. There's nothing up there. He runs downstairs, and then it cuts back to her.
Yeah. Well, he runs downstairs, and he's like Josh, and he turns a corner. And as he turns a corner, before you can see anything, he gets hit or something, and the camera drops. And then it just lays there for a second, and then it clicks to Heather's point of view, which is all in black and white, shaky.
She's still running up and downstairs.
And it is so terrifying because the audio from it is coming from downstairs, the other camera. So you hear her off in the distance screaming.
Just yelling, Mike!
Terrifying.
Mike!
And, like, again, putting yourself in the shoes, oh my God. Like, I'm trying not to imagine it myself because, like...
Well, you have to because you think your buddy's been missing for a day and a half now, probably 2 days at this point, right? You have no idea. You're lost in the woods. You come in this creepy ass house. It's got handprints all over the place. The one guy who was with you has now vanished as well, and you can't hear him.
Yeah, and you've seen all these handprints around. You don't know where you're at.
You know shit's been going down. Like you know something's up.
And so she eventually makes her way downstairs and she's running and she turns a corner and she sees Mike in a corner. She's like, Mike! And then as she yells, she gets hit and the camera
something hits her.
Yeah.
And then the camera just falls to the ground and then it cuts.
It cuts and it just sits there for a minute, kind of like flickering because of the film, and then it just cuts to black.
Yeah.
And that's the whole fucking movie.
Mm-hmm. They pay homage to that in Resident Evil 7.
Oh, really?
There's a scene where he goes down in the basement and there's a dude on the wall.
Oh,
like that.
Yeah, no, I know. It was in the demo too.
Yeah, the demo. Yeah.
No, when I played that demo, I was like, I know what the fuck's up. I'm like, I've seen this before.
I didn't remember it was from the Blair Witch, but even I was like, that dude's dead. Yeah.
Now,
so the Blair Witch is kind of just like an asshole, right? She kills the one guy, tortures the other guy, and kills the other guy, and then props him into a corner.
No, the guy described earlier. What happens is that, like, what she used to do with the kids was that she'd make one go stand in the corner and then kill the other one while that one was facing the corner and had to listen, and then went and killed that one. And that's what she was doing with Mike. She told Mike, go get the fuck in the corner. Saw Heather come down, fucked her up, and then, I'm assuming she got Mike.
Yeah.
But
I'd be like, no.
They explained that earlier.
Like, get in the corner. I'd be like, no.
Yeah, they had explained that earlier in the movie when they were interviewing like the townspeople and stuff. And one of the guys, that was one of the stories he told, so it kind of played out at the end. But just the way that movie ends is just so daunting because like it's like, what happened? Like, you don't know what happened to these people.
What is this thing? We haven't seen it. We don't know what's going on. Are these people like? Are they dead? Like, what happened? It's great. Surprise, they're dead.
Exactly. But I don't know. I feel like this movie does what it's supposed to do, and it's what got me. Like, I am a huge fan of found footage movies. They're like my favorite things in the world to watch, just because of the realism to it.
See, I'm not even that big a fan. Like, I don't actually like found footage movies.
I love found footage.
But this one, I do. But again, I got to say, you have to pay attention. If you're not paying attention to these movies, you're missing a lot.
Yeah, and if it's like this is not a casual watch movie. This is a movie when you watch it by yourself, alone, in the dark, even with your with your headphones, without your headphones, volume up. It's not like a party movie. It's not a movie where it's not like Scream or like Halloween. You
or
can
just throw it on and Street. Yeah, any of those type of movies, you can't. You have to give this your full attention, and you have to go in knowing now it's 2020. This movie was made in 1999. Like, you have to go in knowing that.
Yeah,
because I think if you don't go in thinking that now, especially if you've never seen it. I mean, if you've seen it and you know, then fine. But if you're new going into this, 100% you have to give it that attention and know it's a movie from 21 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But like also when you're watching it, and again, this goes into like most people whenever you tell them Blair Witch, like, oh, that movie fucking sucks. I'm like, you have, again, I've said it so many times, and like Anthony said, you have to pay attention to it. You have to put your set, and you have to put your mind in a place of like as if this is real. Like tell yourself, like, this was real footage found, and you're watching what happened to these people, because that's how it was played out when it came out, and that's why it erupted and was so big. Because I remember when this movie came out, everyone I knew thought it was awesome. And it wasn't until like years later when people started hating on it. But I think it's just that hate train that happens with a lot of stuff, where popular things eventually just somehow just get just massively hated for no reason.
Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, I was about to say that, but I wasn't sure your opinion. Like, granted,
as soon as you said it, I was like, Limp Bizkit.
I'm like, I am a huge fan of Limp Bizkit for the simple fact that their rhythm section is amazing. But I'm a musician and I play bass. Their bassist and drummer are fucking badass. Their songs go hard, but I get, like, Fred Durst is a joke. Like everything it's comical.
Agreed.
It's comical. But I enjoy the fuck out of their music. And Curly, which it's another one of my friends, for those listening, if you're not like part of the general community that, we come from, online community. But he says the same thing. Like, he likes Limp Bizkit for what they are, But anyway, that's besides the point. But that's a good example of like how.
At that point, it's perfect example. You're right. It's the perfect example of, yes, the Blair Witch. You have to like it for what it is.
Exactly. And
it is 100% a found footage movie of its time that you have to fully immerse yourself in to appreciate what it is. Because if you're just going to go into this movie like it sucks and I don't want any part of it, then you're not going to like it.
Exactly. And for the budget of this movie, so I wanted to get to this real fast because I found this
$6.
I found this amazing. So on IMDb it says this. I'm just going to read what it says. It says this film was in the Guinness Book of World Records for a top budget box office ratio for a mainstream feature film. The film cost only $60,000 to make, and it made back $248 million. It says,
you want to know how they got some of their money back?
How? Oh, because they bought one of the cameras from Circuit City,
and then returned it. And I'm like, that is classic, and it's still up there in one of the movies that has the biggest box office draw for like no budget.
Yeah. And it only took them 8 days to film this, but it took them 8 months to edit it and everything. But I think this is a fantastic movie.
And the only reason it took so long to film it is because the only part of this movie that is technically like a Hollywood production movie is that they reshot that ending to get it different.
Oh yeah, because they
had shot it several different ways.
Yeah, wasn't there a different ending where they showed something? I don't remember. I mean, if there's something
I'm not exactly sure what the ending was, but I know they did it multiple times to get it right. And I mean, I think they got it right. That ending is great.
Yeah.
It does suck that you don't see the Blair Witch, but I do think it adds to it. Because to this day, I don't think you still have seen the Blair Witch.
Okay, so clearly you haven't seen the true sequel, not the Book of Shadows.
No, I've seen the Book of Shadows. It's so...
Okay, have you seen the sequel that came out in 2016?
No, Curse of the Blair Witch? No.
It's just the Blair Witch.
What? Is it? Yeah, it's not the Blair Witch. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Curse of the Blair Witch.
You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay,
I know the story and everything behind it. I never watched it though.
All right, so we should do that one next since we did this one.
Yeah,
you watch that one, and we'll do an episode where you watch that one because I'd really like to know your take because it's filmed with like modern day DSLR, so it's got like a better look.
I've read some stuff about it while I was reading about. But I haven't actually watched the film myself.
Okay, please.
And then
watch
again,
it.
I've never finished the game either, so I don't know if you see her in that either.
Yeah, but I haven't gotten far in it either, which I need to start playing it again. But with this movie, back to this one before we get off topic again, off track again. Some other facts because you were talking about how they had to go back and reshoot everything. Well, not everything, but like the ending scenes and stuff. The whole movie was, with the exception of maybe that scene and a couple others, was filmed by the actors because they made a pact to stay in character for the full time they were filming this movie, and the directors gave them the cameras here, film everything, and if they ever had to break character, they all had to say taco. Yeah, that's how they were able to break character.
And they stopped doing it because it just made them hungry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I read that. They stopped using that because it made them hungry. Because near the end, they were getting less food, right? So they just stopped.
Getting hangry.
But that's why at the beginning of the movie, the footage is so grainy and not good because they literally gave him a crash course on how to use the camera.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, "Okay, go." And then afterwards, he started kind of getting it, except when he missed the shot later on. But it's just, the whole movie is just, it's an experience, really. Like, watch the movie and then go read everything else.
Yeah.
And then listen to this.
Exactly.
But do all that. Watch the movie first and then go read about everything that went into the movie. And it just adds to the overall, this movie's an experience.
Yeah. It definitely is. It's something where, like he just said, definitely watch it, and then go and look at the backstory of everything. Because if you don't appreciate watching it, at least read what went into the movie and
They started building this movie in 1993. Had the idea for this movie in 1993 and didn't get it to work until 1999.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's you know.
A year beforehand is when they started like the guerrilla marketing for it, where they started the fake websites. They actually posted the signs up everywhere saying that they're missing, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. This movie's so good, and if you don't like it, I feel bad for you. There's something wrong if you can't appreciate this movie at least for what it is.
Yeah, I won't say that I feel bad for you. I will say that I understand where you're coming from, but at least give this movie a chance. You got to give this movie a chance to see everything. If you've seen anything that came after or where it went, you have to give this movie. This movie is a touchstone. It deserves to be appreciated and looked at for what it is, and it's just awesome. If you pay attention. If you don't pay attention, like I said, this movie sucks.
Exactly. And I mean, like, it's not going to be for everybody. I get it. Some people have different tastes, different styles of what they like, but I mean, like, you can't knock it for dumb reasons.
Yeah, you can't knock it because, it's shot on a shitty camera. I'm like, that is the whole point of the movie.
Or it's like, we don't see anything, nothing happens. It's like, well, you don't see anything because that's the kind of the whole point. It's this entity that's fucking with them, and
it's the journey, not the shit in it.
Exactly. But do you have anything else you want to say about it, or
Nah, man, I think that's pretty good.
All right, cool. Next time, we'll have a little more of a structure for this, I'm sure. I'm sorry for being all over the place, but I think it went pretty good.
I think so too. What are you giving it?
I am giving this I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 squids. I'd give it 5 out of 5. That's me being biased because I legitimately fucking like this movie. But I give it 4 out of 5 because I feel like it still holds up after all these years, and it really, like, it's effective if you're in the right mindset while watching it, or if I don't know, you get what I'm trying to say. The movie is effective, and it does its job of what it's trying to do.
There you go. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
3.5
out of 5. Yeah, product of its time. You gotta pay attention to it, and it does what it needs to do. But again, it is like you need to give it your time. If you don't want to do that, I get it. So I'm going to give it a 5.
Awesome. Well, I think this went really good. We made it way over the 30-minute mark that I initially was hoping this would go. We are at almost an hour. So
there you go, bro.
This was great. Well,
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. No problem, dude. It's always a pleasure, doing this or anything on your channel. So hopefully we could do this again soon.
Definitely.
Well, that's it, everybody. Thanks for checking out the podcast. Like and subscribe onto the channel, please, for other stuff. Also, don't forget to go check out Anthony's channel at TalkingBull on YouTube.
Thank you.
Is it TalkingBull Podcast on Spotify?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, go and check that out. And until next time, stay spooky.